we have a go, I guess.
I think we are live.
Yeah.
Everything is rolling.
I guess so. Here.
The whole crew is. Are we live?
Oh.
All good.
All good.
So, I guess we have a wrap for the presentation sessions of the third day of Data Innovation Summit, which is the first conference day, so to speak. The two first days was workshops days.
Workshop days.
My name is Henrik Göthberg. I'm the conference chairman, and I'm sitting here with
Goran Cvetanovski, the founder of Hyperight and chief editorial director for Data Innovation Summit.
And we thought we reflect a little bit about the first conference day, so to speak. And it's going to be quite interesting. I have never ever tried to wrap up a conference day with. How many sessions have we had?
I think we overdid it a bit, so it was around 79 presentations, 65 technology and practice sessions. So in total, around 140 plus presentation today. It was a very, very long day, exciting.
But this is the beauty of digital, and you've gone bananas. Come on, you've gone bananas.
Well, I think that it's. We were talking about this for quite a long time, but digitalization offers other opportunities. Usually on other events, you have boundaries. This time we didn't have any.
Yeah, and in a way, we are running this conference now, so the Agorify is open for 2 months, and of course we have already today seen. An online behavior in a conference is not the same as a physical behavior.
Yes.
No one is bound by their analog physical body, right? We're living and we're going in and out. We are moving in time. We're moving back in time.
Yes,
forward in time.
It was interesting actually to see. This is the first time for us as well to see how delegates will experience such a environment. It's very interesting because you can see the people are not following the schedule, but they are moving forward and backward. It was quite interesting.
No, so I had the opening keynote this morning, and of course that was the peak of how many was watching at the same time. But it was funny when we went into lunchtime, the opening keynote had 120 viewers, and we were going in
it was 400 around. 400 and something.
400 or 500 at the same time in the morning, and then consistently throughout the day.
Yes, the same numbers.
Yeah, same numbers.
Well, I think that it was a very interesting day in any case, and I think that is something that I'm looking forward to learn more actually.
Yeah, how will the digital experience how you can, because it's when you better understand the real online behaviors, how will people tackle to view 120 sessions in one day?
Yes.
I mean, it's as a user experience, you don't do that in one day, of course. So
no. On on-site events, you will probably have only one session at a time to see.
Yeah, and
here
then
you can see all of them.
Then you need to pick. Now you don't really need to pick 2 months, and you can do it in your own time.
Yes, exactly. That's a beautiful thing.
But moving on a little bit, so how did you see these sort of the main themes or the main takeaways or standouts? How did you experience the first conference day?
Well, I think that we delivered what we wanted to the delegates to experience with the first day when we were designing the concept for Data Innovation 2020. The idea was that we focus around the area of human-centered and explainable AI. And it was divided on 2 parts. In the first part, it was the first conference day, moving too fast with the technology. But we need to stop and look. And I think this with the pandemic as well has given us quite a lot of fruit of thoughts on what we need to discuss and what we need to focus on and which projects are good to have and which are not. And I think that this was obvious as well throughout the entire day because you can see that more and more organizations are focusing on scaling their machine learning, let's say, projects, going out of the lab. You can see that the maturity is growing, which is very important as well, from 2 aspects, right? So organizations are right now talking about artificial intelligence center of excellence, AI labs. They are also, we are not anymore talking about what ifs, and how we can innovate with this. But there is today we had around 60 concrete presentation presenting how you can utilize advanced analytics in your organization today. This is beautiful. So this is not longer a myth. This is something that we have moved into the new AI industrialization decade, as you basically said 1 or 2 years ago. And you can see this in a presentation like Google, Ubisoft, Spotify, H&M, Blinkist, Coca-Cola, eBay. Diego Galar was talking about this, Halliburton, FedEx, and a couple of others. So I think it was a great day.
I have a couple of reflections, and in a way it's for this day, but it's also for the whole conference session. One angle is actually that we have so many presentations now, so we actually becomes mini industry events. So if you want to learn about transportation and automation, within that space you have more than 5 world-class presentations.
Minimum, yes.
Minimum, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I can do the same in retail. I can do the same, industrial and manufacturing, which is extremely interesting now because you can join and benchmark with your peers or your industry and think about what is happening in your industry. But then when you feel like fat and happy that you're quite good in your industry, you switch over and look at the Google presentation and you can be a little bit more humble again. So that's pretty cool, right? So you can get the best of the industry experience as well as sort of benchmarking your industry with other ones. Yes. But it requires that's why 300 presentations over a couple of days now makes sense.
Yes.
What it doesn't make sense is to consume all of them on 2 days.
Yeah, but that's why you have the on-demand period of two months.
No.
That is why. And I have to point out to that as well. Like if you want to benchmark, you need to benchmark both with digital-born companies, startup companies, and enterprise companies from different industries as well. But what were your main 3 takeaways from today?
We talked a lot around, celebrating moving into a new decade and the decade of industrialization and stabilization. So our sort of feeling and prediction was that this is the right time to do it. And I think we were spot on, because I think a lot of the different presentations now, on even if they were super technical, down on feature store level, or if they were on people and data literacy, they were sort of saying the same thing. So going into the industrialized era of data and AI means we need to get out of this sort of doing it proprietary, one pipeline at a time, doing it one pilot at a time, to a factory setup. And we have several. The keynotes together actually has a really good storytelling. What I presented, what Wilcox presented, and what David Adun presented, because it's a little bit like I highlighted. I actually start with the Wilcox story. He basically highlighted, it's time to get it out of the lab, and he's highlighting the fundamental strategic view of infrastructure and technology and the setups to have a factory thinking. And you can take that down in many different sub-components, feature stores, how you talk about data ops, ML ops. I think we will have even more on the process side tomorrow. Yes. But it's sort of setting the scene how to think factory. And the simple analogy is a little bit like if you're into cars, right? You have a Gas Monkey Garage, a TV show that you build custom cars. So they are doing stuff world class, but they're building cars custom one at a time. That's one idea, right? And then you have, go if you ever go to Stuttgart and look at the industrial way of understanding car manufacturing, there's a quite big difference between Gas Monkey Garage and BMW setup, right? And it's all they're world class, but this is factory. This is not, right? Yes. So Wilcox talked about this from the fundamental stack. Then I talked about this from the orchestration. What's the process now to get this factory to move effectively? I have a great factory, but I don't have the processes, so we are screwing up the assembly line. And then David puts the real touch on this when he talks about data literacy and ultimately nails home that AI is not about algorithms and robots. It's about people. Mm-hmm. People who can understand the business side of it, people who can understand the design of it, people who can build an assembly line, people who can work at an assembly line and monitor assembly line, people who can use it. So here sort of is the people, it's the process orchestration and this. So basically, my presentation is they're all centered around how to get to a factory approach, and ultimately the real challenge we have right now to go from where we are today to a factory approach is, in my opinion, now not the project anymore. It's a continuous journey of stabilizing.
Yes.
Because it's a little bit like, imagine we are building factories, but we are at the Henry Ford era.
Yeah.
So we are building the very first factory, and now we have come a long way of how you build factories physically. And we have that same journey to do, how to build factories and how to tune, how they should be structured, which is a journey over several years.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, I think that's where I think this was all about today.
And it was a perfect, I think, ending of the day one. So stay tuned for day two.
Before you stop,
Okay.
Did you build this whole studio just for us to wrap this up? Give us a hint.
Of course I did.
Of course you did.
We went a little bit. For all of you there, we are starting a webcast starting next Friday. No, next Thursday. Sorry. It's called AI After Work. It will be shot here in the Hyperight Data Club in Stockholm in our premises, and the main stars are Henrik Göthberg and Anders Artek from Peltarion. So stay tuned. But now the conference is not over. We are moving to the retro after work with DJ Lenomad. I think I pronounced it that good, right? Pretty much, yeah. So stay tuned. Take a glass of wine or coffee. Find somebody to chat with, and we are going back to the 90s when everybody was going to internet cafe, chatting with somebody with a very, very good music in the background. So stay tuned, and thank you for day 3 of Data Innovation Summit.